You ever notice how everyone's talking now? I mean everyone, the whole planet's got something to say. 7 billion mouths, one big megaphone. And somehow nobody's listening. You walk down the street and all you hear are voices. Phones, podcasts, videos, commentaries. It's a parade of opinions, an orchestra of nothing. It's like we collectively decided that silence is dangerous, that if nobody's talking, the world might actually make sense for a second. And we can't have that. We live in an era where every thought, every impulse, every dumb observation has to be broadcast immediately to millions of people who are also too busy talking to care. It's like a global open mic night for the insecure. People used to think before they spoke. Now they speak before they think. Sometimes instead of thinking. Everyone's an expert now. You got a guy who read a headline about brain surgery explaining consciousness online. You got a teenager on TikTok giving life advice before they've even paid a bill. You got millions of people who confuse their Wi-Fi connection with wisdom. They call it a sharing your truth. You know what that means? It means talking until somebody validates your nonsense. And the craziest part, it works because everybody else is doing the same thing. They'll validate your nonsense if you validate theirs. It's a giant barter system for stupidity. There used to be value in words. Words used to mean something. When someone spoke, it was because they had something to say, something worth sharing. Now people just speak because they're uncomfortable with not being heard. It's not communication anymore, it's self-promotion. Every post, every story, every hot take, it's not about connecting, it's about performing. People aren't expressing themselves, they're auditioning. And what's the role they're auditioning for? Approval, attention. A quick digital pat on the head. We've turned human interaction into a popularity contest with no prize. You can tell how addicted people are to the sound of their own voice. They can't even sit through a conversation without planning their next line. Nobody listens to respond anymore. They listen to interrupt. It's not a what do you think anymore. It's a wait till you hear what I think. You see it everywhere. Talk shows, social media, even in everyday life. It's just layers and layers of noise, people echoing themselves through other people's ears. Humanity has turned into an endless feedback loop of talking heads with nothing in their heads. And the irony, the louder people talk, the less they say. And that's the thing about this era. Volume has replaced value. You don't have to be right. You just have to be loud. You don't have to know what you're saying. You just have to say it with confidence. If you yell it with enough conviction, someone out there will believe you. That's the beauty of the modern attention economy. Truth doesn't matter, engagement does. You can say something completely wrong, completely stupid, completely backwards. And if enough people share it, it becomes a discussion. Not correction, not clarity, discussion. You can't even fix ignorance anymore. It's too entertaining. And what's with all this fake passion? You ever notice that? Everyone's suddenly so passionate about everything. Every issue, every trend, every injustice. People screaming into their phones about things they didn't even know existed an hour ago. They call it a raising awareness. I call it a copying outrage. It's not that they care. They just don't want to look like the one person who doesn't. People perform emotion now. You can practically see them rehearsing in their bathroom mirrors before recording their heartfelt messages. Hey guys, I just wanted to talk about something really important today. No, you didn't. You just saw everyone else doing it and thought, hey, maybe this will get me some likes too. That's what we become. Emotional actors in a drama that never ends. And it's not even good acting. We're a species addicted to attention but allergic to authenticity. Everyone wants to sound deep, but nobody wants to be deep. They quote philosophers they've never read, post about empathy while yelling at strangers online, and talk about mental health while destroying their own with comparison and validation seeking. It's a world where everyone's pretending to be human, but no one's being one. You know what's funny? The people who say the most usually understand the least. It's always the loudest ones who are the emptiest inside. Because silence, real silence, requires security. It means you're comfortable not being noticed, not being the center of the room. And that's terrifying to people now. They'll do anything not to be ignored. They'll exaggerate, provoke, invent, distort. Whatever it takes to stay visible in a world that confuses visibility with existence. If nobody's looking, they feel like they're disappearing. So they talk louder, act crazier, and fill the air with more nonsense. It's a panic for attention disguised as confidence. The scariest part? The system rewards it. The internet's like a giant casino where the currency is outrage and the jackpot is relevance. Every tweet, every clip, every post is a spin of the wheel. Maybe this one will go viral. Maybe this one will make me matter. And people fall for it. They play every day, throwing their integrity into the slot machine, hoping for a payout of validation. And when they don't get it, they double down. More extreme, more dramatic, more desperate. The algorithm doesn't care about truth, it cares about activity. The louder the noise, the better it performs. It's like rewarding a baby for screaming. You can't even talk to people anymore without them turning it into a debate. Ask someone how they are, and they'll give you a manifesto. Disagree with someone slightly, and suddenly you're an enemy of progress. Nobody wants to understand, they want to win. Every conversation is a competition. The goal isn't learning, it's domination. The whole concept of dialogue has been replaced with monologue battles. And people wonder why we're all exhausted. You can't build understanding in a society that values volume over depth. You can't have truth in a culture that mistakes noise for thought. We used to have thinkers, real thinkers, people who sat in silence, observed, reflected, questioned. Now we have reactor. People who respond instantly, emotionally, blindly. Reflection takes time, and time doesn't trend. People would rather react in seconds than think for minutes. You ever try to argue with someone online who's never been wrong in their life? It's like trying to teach a goldfish algebra. They're not there to learn. They're there to win likes. Because winning likes feels like winning the argument. You can't lose when your dopamine's on your side. And the truth is, people don't even believe what they're saying half the time. They believe in being heard. They'll change their opinions based on the audience. They'll say one thing on Monday and the opposite on Friday if it gets them more approval. Conviction has been replaced with convenience. We've created a world where sincerity is negotiable and hypocrisy is profitable. Everyone's trying to brand themselves as authentic, which is the funniest thing ever. Because real authenticity doesn't advertise. The second you have to say you're real, you're not. And yet, somehow, people still call this a connection. They'll say, oh, we're more connected than ever. Really? We've never been more connected and never felt more alone. Because connection requires listening, and listening requires shutting up. But nobody wants to shut up. Everyone's addicted to the sound of their own noise. We built the loudest civilization in history, and it's deafening. You can't even hear yourself think over the buzz of everyone else's thoughts. The world used to have a rhythm. Now it's just a hum, constant, meaningless, endless hum. You can see it in how people panic when they lose their phones. You'd think they lost a limb. That little rectangle has become the new voice box of humanity. Without it, people don't know how to exist. They can't even experience something without recording it, narrating it, and waiting for applause. It's like they need an audience to confirm their reality. You see someone at a concert filming the entire thing. They're not at the concert, they're producing it. They're not living the moment, they're preserving it for strangers because living it isn't enough. Someone has to see them live it. If a person laughs and no one uploads it, did it even happen? We've lost the beauty of quiet. You ever just sit and do nothing anymore? Try it. Most people can't. The second the room goes silent, they reach for distraction, because silence forces you to meet yourself. And that's the one person most people are afraid of. Noise protects them from awareness. It keeps them busy enough not to notice the emptiness underneath. That's what all the noise really is, a distraction from meaninglessness. If people stop talking, they might have to start thinking, and that's the real nightmare. The planet's full of voices screaming for recognition, but the more they scream, the less they matter. Because when everyone talks at once, all you get is static. The tragedy of modern society isn't that people have nothing to say. It's that the ones who do can't be heard over the crowd. Wisdom doesn't trend, reflection doesn't sell, and truth doesn't go viral. The noise drowns it out. It's a war of attention, and the loudest nonsense always wins. You ever wonder what future historians will think of us? They'll look back at this age of noise Billions of people broadcasting 24/7 and realized most of it meant nothing. Endless arguments, outrage, trends, memes, debates, all evaporated in seconds. All that noise, and for what? To feel alive for a moment before disappearing into the next distraction. They'll see a civilization that mistook talking for thinking and noise for life. And maybe they'll laugh, because that's what you do when something's too sad to cry about. So yeah, everyone's talking, nobody's saying anything. And maybe that's exactly how we like it, because if we ever stop to listen, we might not like what we hear. You ever stop and notice how everyone's in a rush now? But nobody's going anywhere. It's like we've built an entire culture around movement without meaning. Everybody's busy, everybody's hustling, everybody's a grinding, but if you look close, most of it is just motion for motion's sake. People sprinting in circles, proudly showing off how tired they are, like exhaustion is proof of importance. You ask someone how they're doing, and they don't even say a good anymore. They say a busy. Busy has become a personality. People wear it like a badge of honor, but it's really just camouflage for confusion. Because if they keep moving, maybe they won't have to stop long enough to realize they don't know what the hell they're doing. We've turned busyness into a virtue. People brag about how little time they have, like it's something to be proud of. Yeah, I only got 4 hours of sleep last night. I haven't taken a vacation in years. Congratulations, you're terrible at living. People act like burnout is a medal of achievement. They'll post about their grind culture while quietly falling apart inside. They confuse suffering with success. The truth is, we build a society that rewards noise, not depth, activity, not accomplishment. People are so terrified of being still that they fill every second with something, anything, just so they don't have to face the silence. And it's not just individuals. The whole system runs on this illusion of urgency. Everything's a breaking news. Every headline is a crisis. Every notification is a fire alarm. You're expected to react instantly, even if you don't know what's going on. You're supposed to have an opinion about everything the moment it happens. Doesn't matter if you understand it. Just say something loud enough and fast enough, and people will assume you're informed. That's how we do it now. We don't think, we react. We don't learn, we scroll. We don't evolve, we refresh. Every second of the day, people are updating, uploading, checking, performing. But for what? To prove they exist? To convince themselves they matter? People say technology connects us. No, it distracts us. It's a digital circus designed to keep us entertained, outraged, and exhausted all at once. You ever notice how your phone doesn't actually make your life easier? It just gives you more to do. You wake up, and before you even take a breath, you're checking a screen. You start your day in reaction mode. Other people's thoughts, other people's problems, other people's noise. And then you wonder why you feel overwhelmed before breakfast. We used to wake up and think. Now we wake up and consume. And the whole day just spirals from there. Endless information, zero understanding. A buffet of nonsense disguised as knowledge. And of course, the people selling all this noise. They love it. Because the more you scroll, the less you think. The more you react, the less you question. You're not supposed to find peace. You're supposed to stay plugged in. Calm people don't buy things. Self-aware people don't panic. Still people don't produce profit. The system runs on distraction. That's why everything is designed to keep your attention, not your understanding, your attention. There's a difference. Understanding empowers you. Attention drains you. They don't want thinkers, they want users. They don't want philosophers, they want consumers. And we've happily obliged. We've traded curiosity for convenience, reflection for reaction, thought for trends. It's funny how people talk about freedom all the time. Freedom of choice, a freedom of speech, a freedom to be yourself. But what good is freedom if you can't focus long enough to use it? People are so overstimulated, so overloaded that even when they're free, they don't know what to do with it. They sit there, surrounded by endless options and still feel empty. Because freedom without awareness is just chaos. You can have every choice in the world, but if you don't know who you are, every choice feels wrong, and most people don't. They don't have a self-thought. They have a collection of borrowed opinions and algorithm-approved identities. They call it expression, but it's imitation. Everyone's pretending to be original while following the same script. Look at social media, the great amplifier of noise. Nah, it's like someone handed a microphone to every person on Earth and said, "Oh, go ahead, talk at once." It's not communication, it's competition. Who can say it faster? Who can say it flashier? Who can say it first? And the reward system, it's a joke. Likes, views, followers, numbers that mean nothing but feel like everything. People spend years chasing them as if validation was a career. They don't want to be something. They want to seem something. And they'll do whatever it takes. Fake it, filter it, exaggerate it, just to stay visible. You don't need talent or truth anymore. You just need timing. You can become famous today for being loud, stupid, or insane. Or all three. And you can see it bleeding into real life. Go to any cafe, any park, any public space. People aren't living, they're documenting. They're not experiencing moments, they're manufacturing them. Wait, don't eat yet? I need a picture. They don't even taste their food anymore. They photograph it, they don't feel their lives. They curate them. Everything's a performance for invisible strangers. We've turned our existence into content. The audience used to be out there. Now it's in our pockets, watching, judging, scrolling by. And the scariest part, people have internalized it. They think in hashtags, they speak in sound bites. They filter reality before it even happens. You know, people used to ask deep questions. Who am I? Or why am I here? Or what's my purpose? Now it's a how many views did that get? The modern soul isn't lost, it's distracted. People don't search for truth, they search for engagement. Truth doesn't trend, because truth is quiet. And quiet doesn't sell. Noise sells, outrage sells, fear sells. That's why every headline, every post, every conversation is designed to keep you emotional. Because emotional people don't think clearly. They react. They consume. They obey. We've been trained to confuse stimulation with awareness. Just because something grabs your attention doesn't mean it deserves it. But that's the trick. Keep people entertained enough not to notice how empty everything's become. The tragedy is, people think this is normal. They think chaos is just the cost of living in the modern world. But it's not. It's designed. You can't control calm people. Calm people think. Calm people question. Calm people are dangerous. So instead you flood them with noise. Keep them scrolling, shopping, arguing. Keep them angry about things that don't matter so they never notice the things that do. And it works beautifully. People will fight to the death over the dumbest things. Celebrities, sports teams, online arguments, while ignoring the systems quietly shaping their lives. They'll cancel strangers over opinions, but never question the powers that make those opinions profitable. They'll scream about freedom while living as slaves to distraction. And you see it in how people talk about it being productive. Productivity has become the new religion. You're supposed to maximize every minute, optimize every habit, monetize every hobby. You can't just exist. You have to build your brand. You can't rest. You have to earn your rest. You can't enjoy something. You have to post about how it contributes to your growth. It's insane. We've replaced fulfillment with performance. Life used to be about living. Now it's about proving that you're living. The result? Burnt out, anxious, overstimulated people who have everything but feel nothing. You ever meet someone who brags about working 80 hours a week? Yeah, those are the same people who don't know their kids' birthdays. The world applauds them too. Look at that dedication. No, look at that delusion. Working yourself into the ground isn't noble. It's numbness. It's avoidance dressed up as achievement. People use busyness the same way addicts use substances to escape. To not feel the emptiness creeping in. Because if they ever stopped moving, they'd have to face the uncomfortable truth. Most of what they're doing doesn't matter. But as long as they stay noisy, as long as they stay productive, they can avoid that little existential whisper that says, "What's the point?" And you can tell how deep the addiction goes. Try taking someone's phone for a day. Watch them crumble. You'd think you unplugged their life support. They'll twitch, panic, start pacing like an animal. That's not just dependency, that's withdrawal. The noise isn't just around them anymore. It's inside them. Their brains are wired for interruption. They can't even watch a movie without checking another screen. They can't read a paragraph without thinking about notifications. Their attention spans have been shattered into microscopic fragments. And they call it a multitasking, as if doing 10 things badly is better than doing one thing well. And because nobody can focus, nothing gets better. We don't solve problems anymore. We just talk about them endlessly. Every issue becomes entertainment. People argue for weeks about things they'll forget by next month. Nothing changes because nobody follows through. Outrage is temporary now, it expires faster than milk. People will scream about injustice, retweet a few slogans, and move on to the next controversy. It's not activism, it's emotional tourism. They visit outrage the way people visit theme parks. That was intense. What's next? We've commodified caring. Even empathy's been turned into a trend. And don't even get me started on the experts. Every idiot with a microphone or a camera suddenly thinks they found the cure to society's problems. They'll tell you how to live, how to think, how to be successful. And somehow, they're always selling something while doing it. Self-help influencers are the new priests. They promise salvation through positivity, through manifestation, through high vibrations. Yeah, well, good luck manifesting rent money. People worship these gurus like prophets, hanging on every cliche, every recycled quote. Now be your best self. Alive your truth. A grind harder. It's fortune cookie wisdom for a generation that forgot how to question. The world's full of people selling meaning to those who never learned how to make it. It's amazing how desperate people are to be told what to do as long as it sounds empowering. They'll swallow anything as long as it comes with hashtags and confidence. You can do anything you set your mind to. No, you can't. Someone has to fix the toilets. The delusion of limitless potential keeps people running on treadmills, chasing a life that looks meaningful but feels empty. Everyone's chasing the dream, but nobody asks who planted it. And when they finally catch it, it's not even theirs. It's a cheap imitation of someone else's version of happiness. And underneath all this noise, all this movement, there's this quiet desperation nobody wants to talk about. That creeping sense of, is this it? That low hum of dissatisfaction that never goes away, no matter how many likes, no matter how much money, no matter how much noise you make. People try to drown it out with distractions, but it always comes back in the silence. That's why they fear silence so much, because silence is honest. It reminds you of what you've been ignoring. It tells you the truth you can't filter or scroll past. And the truth is, most people aren't living. They're just managing existence. They've mistaken activity for purpose. And they wonder why they feel empty even while being busy. That's the great trick of modern life, making people believe noise equals meaning. The more chaotic it gets, the more alive they feel, because at least it's something. Stillness scares them, because stillness feels like death. But the irony is, real life begins in stillness, real insight, real peace, real connection. It doesn't happen in the noise. It happens when you step away from it. But the system can't have that. So it feeds you constant motion, constant stimulation, constant urgency. Keep running, keep scrolling, keep talking. Whatever you do, don't stop. Because if you stop, you might see how pointless it's all become. And the saddest part, people will defend the noise. They'll call it a progress. They'll say, this is just how the world is now. As if chaos was a sign of evolution instead of decay. As if losing your attention span and your humanity were the price of convenience. Progress used to mean making life better. Now it means making it faster, louder, and emptier. We're sprinting toward the future without asking if it's worth getting there. We've mistaken motion for momentum, and now we can't tell the difference between living and performing. So here we are, drowning in noise, starving for meaning, surrounded by more information than we can handle and less wisdom than we've ever had. And we call it civilization. You tell me, does that sound like progress or just a louder kind of insanity? They can decode algorithms, but can't decode empathy. They're experts at everything except being human, and you can't blame them entirely. Look at the culture that raised them. A culture that glorifies instant gratification and punishes patience, that rewards visibility and ignores virtue. That treats every thought like a commercial break. The whole thing's a circus of contradictions. People preach tolerance but cancel each other over typos. They scream about freedom of speech, but only if it's speech they agree with. They call themselves open-minded while living in algorithmic echo chambers. It's selective awareness. I'll believe anything as long as it flatters me. And the systems love it because divided, distracted people are easy to sell to, easy to steer, easy to scare. You don't have to control them, just confuse them. Make them think noise is choice, and confusion has become the national pastime. People argue over nonsense as if it mattered. Did you hear what that celebrity said? Did you see what that influencer wore? Who cares? People treat gossip like gospel and opinion like evidence. You've got entire shows dedicated to people yelling about things that don't exist. Imaginary scandals, fake outrage, made-up conspiracies. It's performance art for the emotionally unstable. And the best part? The audience eats it up because it feels like participation. They think they're staying informed when really they're just being entertained by their own ignorance. You can't even laugh about it anymore without someone getting offended. Every joke comes with a legal disclaimer. Every opinion comes with a warning label. People used to have a sense of humor about themselves. Now they treat discomfort like a crime. They don't want reality, they want reassurance. They don't want truth, they want therapy. And if you give them truth instead, they'll call it a hate. We've raised a culture that can't tell the difference between being challenged and being attacked. They call it progress, but it's just fragility with good branding. And look, the people running this show know exactly what they're doing. The noisier it gets, the easier it is to hide things. You flood the system with nonsense and nobody notices the patterns. You bury meaning under entertainment and people stop asking questions. Bread and circuses, baby. Only now the bread's gluten-free, and the circus is streaming in 4K. We're drowning in stimulation and starving for truth. And every time someone tries to point it out, they're told to lighten up or stay positive. Positivity has become a weapon. They'll sell you optimism like a drug because a happy population doesn't rebel. And just be grateful, sure. Grateful for what? Being manipulated with a smile? We've reached a point where thinking critically is an act of rebellion, where being skeptical makes you a villain, where asking a why gets you labeled as negative or cynical. But cynicism isn't the problem. It's realism without anesthesia. It's what happens when you look around and refuse to pretend. People call it a pessimism because it scares them to admit they see the same thing. They'd rather scroll through inspirational quotes than face reality, because reality doesn't come with filters. It doesn't flatter your ego. It's messy, complicated, and uncomfortable. Exactly what people have been trained to avoid. And that avoidance runs deep. You ever watch people try to be mindful? It's hilarious. They turn stillness into a competition. Will I meditate for 20 minutes every morning? Oh, really? I meditate for an hour while journaling about gratitude. They've even commercialized peace. You can buy Serenity now. Comes in subscription boxes and wellness retreats. They sell you the escape from the chaos they help create. You pay to unplug from the very machine that runs on your anxiety. It's like a drug dealer offering rehab at a discount. And people line up because it's easier to buy calm than confront chaos. And let's not forget the corporate side of the noise. Every company wants to be your friend now. We care, or we listen, or we stand with you. No, they don't. They stand with profit. They'll tweet empathy all day as long as it trends well. They'll slap rainbows on their logos, peace signs on their ads, and slogans about a change in their commercials. But the second it threatens revenue, they're out. They're not allies. They're advertisers. They sell morality the same way they sell soda, with jingles and hashtags. And the audience applauds, thinking they've witnessed progress, when really they've just watched marketing. It's all theater. Everything's theater now. News anchors don't report. They perform. Politicians don't lead. They audition. Influencers don't inspire. They advertise. Even tragedy gets turned into content. Something horrible happened. And within hours, there are thumbnails, reaction videos, merch drops. We consume pain like entertainment. We turn every crisis into a storyline. The line between empathy and spectacle has dissolved completely. And when everything's dramatic, nothing's meaningful. We've become a species addicted to stimulation and allergic to silence. People can't even sit quietly without panicking. You ever watch someone sit alone without their phone? It's like watching withdrawal in real time. The hands twitch. The eyes dart. The brain starts itching for noise. They'll talk to themselves just to fill the air. Stillness feels like drowning now. Silence feels like death. And that's how far we've drifted from sanity. Because silence is where the truth hides. That's where the real thinking happens. But thinking doesn't sell subscriptions. And so the cycle continues. People chase validation, drown in distraction, lose their focus, call it progress, repeat. The system doesn't even have to suppress ideas anymore. It just buries them under garbage. Nobody burns books when nobody reads them. Nobody censors speech when nobody listens. You just flood the world with noise until wisdom becomes inaudible. And people will do the censoring themselves because comfort feels safer than clarity. That's the final trick. Convincing people to silence themselves for the illusion of peace. And the irony? Deep down, everyone knows it. They can feel it in those rare moments when the noise dies down. Late at night, when the screen goes dark, when there's nothing left to distract them. That uneasy feeling creeping in, that sense that something's missing. That maybe all this progress isn't progress at all. But they can't sit with it for long, so they reach for the next distraction. Scroll, click, swipe, back into the noise. Because the truth is scarier than the nonsense. Truth demands responsibility. Nonsense just needs attention. The real danger isn't that people are dumb, it's that they've been trained to enjoy being dumb. To wear it like a badge of authenticity. Yeah, well, your gut's been fed junk and your truth's been bought wholesale. Authentic ignorance is still ignorance, but it's profitable ignorance. The dumber people act, the easier they are to entertain, the easier they are to control. And as long as they're laughing, scrolling, and arguing, they'll never realize how deep the joke goes, or who's really telling it. Because this is what happens when a civilization replaces wisdom with noise. The music gets louder, the lights get brighter, the slogans get emptier, and the silence gets harder to find. People think the world's ending, but maybe it's just the volume that's killing us. We keep turning it up, hoping the noise will drown out the emptiness, but all it does is make the silence louder when it finally hits. And when it does, when the music stops and the circus lights go out, maybe, just maybe, somebody will finally hear what's been missing all along. Maybe then we'll realize the loudest thing in this world isn't progress, it's panic.